I think the legacy of MAC is that it brought together a diverse group of people who were interested in seeing that that our city paid attention to all of its citizens and the needs of all of its citizens.
MAC always managed to reach such a diverse population of people to work with, from all different walks of life, all different races, no matter where you were from or who you were.
And that legacy has continued through today. I think that that is part of the reason we haven't had some of the problems that other cities have faced, because we had that group of people initially who were willing to come together from different backgrounds, different races, different economic levels, who said, you know, it's important that we come together for the benefit of all.
We had people back in the 1960s who thought about the fact that in order to solve the multitude of problems here in the city, we needed a very diverse group of people sitting down, discussing those issues, and looking at the various solutions.
MAC led the efforts to avoid the catastrophes that occurred in the 60s and the 70s across the country, not just the south of the country, that were born out of misunderstandings and race relations.
So the civil rights movement brought issues to the forefront that the community needed to solve as a city, as a community. And a number of those issues back then, ironically, are still here today in a different tone. And the Metropolitan Area Committee, I think, was very important and vital at that time, because it brought people together to a common table to talk about the issues and to come up with solutions for the issues, which was very, very helpful for our community to not only stay focused, but to make some moves that was in the best interest of building New Orleans. The organization's greatest impact, in my opinion, both MAC and CBNO, is its ability to bring leadership to the table, its ability to identify people in the community who are decision makers, who will be decision makers, and to identify people who can bring new solutions, solutions that are implemented in such a way where it builds the community.
One important impact that CBNO has is that we create other organizations like the Orleans Public Education Network or the Greater New Orleans Water Collaborative, that they in turn go out and have their own impacts.
And that's what the Metropolitan Area Committee in its early days was meant to do, was to convene these disparate elements of the community, get them talking to each other, seeing what kind of ideas could emerge from those discussions.
To this day, the original CBNO blueprint process is one of the most amazing things I've ever been involved with. There were people that at the beginning of that process, we practically had to use a cattle prod on them to get them to sit down in the same room together. And by the end of the process, they were having side conversations about how they could work together.
For example, the Metropolitan Leadership Forum is a great piece that was great back then 50 years ago. It's even greater today.
I first got involved with CBNO through the Brian Bell Metropolitan Leadership Forum. I moved to New Orleans in 2011, and in the fall of 2012 decided to do the forum, a recommendation from a friend. And as a new resident to the city, it was really a great way to learn about all the different issues we were facing, from healthcare to education, environmental and coastal issues, and public safety. And the leadership forum really became the foundation for my involvement in the community.
The thing about the bus tour that kicks off the leadership forum is that every single person on that bus, even if they were born and raised in New Orleans, goes to some place in the city they've never been to before.
It is the place where we school and can affect and hopefully incentivize and motivate the next generation of leadership at any given point in time.
What was so great about this program was bringing us face to face with the individuals in the city who were so involved with those issues, as well as ultimately learning how civic organizations such as CBNO MAC can interface with them for the greater good of all the citizens.
Because if people are more active in the governance of their communities and in making sure that the city understands what they want and gives their priorities within the city budget, that that it's better for everyone. The city understands what the needs of the community are, and the community can work more closely with government to make sure that they get the things that they need.
People need to be involved. We need to participate as citizens in the things that are going on around us. And in order to be able to do that effectively, we need to make ourselves knowledgeable. And that's one of the things that CBNO does and strives and stresses, is that we need to know what's going on and become involved in it. And those who are in authority need to give the citizens the opportunity to do that.
What struck me about MAC, I think the most when I became involved in it, was because I'd been affiliated with some not-for-profits and some civic organizations, but MAC was pretty much dedicated to citizen involvement and advocacy.
And the basic theme is to be prepared to identify the issues truthfully in our community, and to identify the leadership who can truthfully and honestly put resolutions on the table.
I think the work of CBNO has benefited every citizen in the city of New Orleans, even those who are not aware of its work.
Government has benefited from it because government has had to be more open and I think accountable when there's an entity that's focused on community issues, and that they have to account for themselves in how they handle those community issues.
One thing really valuable about CBNO is the way it touches the lives of all residents of New Orleans. We are all citizens here and have the responsibility to be active and engaged. And CBNO provides those opportunities for people, whether it's participating in a neighborhood group, learning more about the budget, or participating in the leadership forum. It's a way for everyone to get involved in their city.
I think the community benefited the most from the organization. I think the political leadership benefit from the organization. I think the New Orleans business community benefit from the organization, because without the organization, the leadership may not necessarily focus on issues that are independently thought through and independently put on the table.
I definitely believe that the political leadership has benefited from this civic, non-political input of ideas and studies backed up by universities and backed up by a broad coalition of segments of the community, from which our political leadership can go to school themselves and zero in on what the people are looking for.
As a city with a lot of nonprofits, it's unique to have one that's been around for 50 years and that is merged with another organization and continues to do the good work that this city needs.
I would say that the legacy of MAC is its dedication to public advocacy on issues that are important to the public.
The role of CBNO today, I think, is very much like it's been in the past and very much like it's going to be in the future. It's to be that voice that says, we as citizens, we as people need to be involved. In order to be involved, we need to be informed and we need to be educated. And that there is a multitude of opportunities, issues, and problems in this city and in the various communities and neighborhoods. And we need to be involved in all of that. We as citizens, as individuals, need to have the tools and the ability to get involved.